for disabled veterans.
Yeah, when
And they took that as you basically trying to say it was the DAV originally.
No.
And then changing the story after.
And when they came out with the fact that it was the DAV and that I was somehow cheating them, I clarified it by going back in and then taking the DAV, or the veterans that were disabled, out of there, so there would be no doubt of the fact that it was going to be going to disabled veterans. And in fact, I even was having conversations with Matt through email back then about the fact that, well, I think I want to try and help. Being a Marine, having been in the Marines, I think I want to try and help the Marine veterans who come home after having their legs blown off and whatnot. And he really didn't have a problem with it until he got caught up in the nonsense that was taking place in the message board threads, and what was being said and how it was being focused back at him. Because none of these guys want to be subjected to being given the Rick Olney treatment. And it's basically...
What is the Rick Olney treatment, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, she's not as versed in the whole thing.
It's basically, the blogs and...
basically the blog saying, watch out for working with Rick Olney.
Yeah, so now because Matt Bush works with Rick Olney, watch out for Matt Bush, he's no good.
But then Matt came out, apparently, and said on Bleeding Cool that he wanted the maps back. And then there was some big article on Bleeding Cool about you demanded an apology from him first before you sent the maps back.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly as it happened.
He basically felt like he had nothing to apologize for.
Yeah, you're right. And he went back in, and instead of dealing with me as he probably should have, he put everything back out through that. Is that a police officer or security guard?
It's security guard, it looks like, because he's not carrying anything on his belt except keys.
Yeah. Instead of dealing with me in regards to the matter so that we could work out the differences that were taking place caused by these other people, instead of doing that, he went back through and went where he was more comfortable, obviously, which was with the attackers. So, that's when I dug my feet in and said, okay.
But you understand
I even threatened to burn the posters, if you remember. I told him, I'll burn it, and then I'll turn around and I'll donate the money and burn the... I wouldn't just burn the posters and let just say, screw it.
But you understand how, from his point of view, that could be perceived as you doing exactly what everybody warned him you would do.
Well,
is that if you don't go by Rick's way, then it doesn't happen at all.
Well, it wasn't just Rick's way. It was what he and I had discussed in a volley back and forth over a period of, 2-3 weeks, about how this was all going to work out. And then his initial emails of gifting those posters to me for the way we were going to sell them and offer them at the November Adirondack Comic Fest. Yeah, I changed it after that. I didn't pack them right up and send them back. You know why? Because after 7 years of hearing these people say, kill the monster, kill the monster, kill the monster, sorry, the monster's not playing your games. The monster changed the rules. That's just the way it is, Jeff. Don't know what else to
but here's
say.
the thing. Really, you're not changing the rules if you do exactly what they said the monster's going to do. I mean, let's be honest. If you had, at that point, returned the maps to Matt,
right,
you'd have fooled everybody. Everybody would have said, well, that's not what we normally would expect from Rick. We're expecting Rick to not return the maps. We're expecting Rick to give Matt a hard time.
There must be something wrong with my wiring, either that or it's been just a matter of how long it's been that I've been subjected to a lot of this nonsense, that I actually do think on the other side of it, to the point that, number one, the goal is to sell the maps. It's to make the profit to turn around and gift and donate to the charitable cause that's been identified. And the only reason that cause wasn't identified right out front was because it's already known experience that whenever information is put out there like that, those people, that organization, that hotel, whatever, gets the Rick Olney treatment, where they then get harassed and they then get bothered, and it's not anything. They're not doing a public service. They are doing more to disrupt and disparage than they are to actually like point out, hey, there's the monster.
And I can,
the monster.
And don't get me wrong, I can absolutely see where you're coming from, with that. But by the same token, all right, let's say for example you were going to give them to the DAV, right, and you were going through all the proper channels to get it done to the DAV. Right? Alice wouldn't have had a freaking leg to stand on. Nobody in those chat rooms would have had a freaking leg to stand on, because from day one, their argument has been, Rick is going to screw over the charity, and Rick is going to screw over Matt Bush by not returning whatever maps were left over. And then,
and his man.
And then what they saw, but what they saw was you not giving any charity any money yet, and you not returning the maps to Matt, which is exactly what they said you were going to do. Now, you can obviously perceive it as them saying, beware the monster, beware the monster. And you coming out there.
What about that Crippen character, that Dr. Crippen or whatever, the troll?
I don't even know who the hell that guy was.
I don't know who it was either.
To be honest, I honestly think that was somebody trying to fuck with me.
Well, yeah, they did.
And to be fair, everybody in the chat threads totally disowned that guy. Totally said whoever did that was a stupid thing to do. They absolutely from day one said that.
Yeah.
You can go back and look. You can see what Alice wrote, Dale wrote, Roy wrote, I wrote.
And if an attorney that I have hired or would hire were to contact Lucas Films and ask them to provide under subpoena actual proof that they sent a cease and desist, and if Lucas Films turns around and says, we never sent a cease and desist, then...
Well, the thing is, you're not even going to need
a subpoena
to Lucas Films for that. They'll either tell you or they won't.
No, I already believe that if it's going to go to that level of involving an attorney, then all the steps that need to be taken to get to the part where whoever said, oh, there was a cease and desist, said he didn't, and he just tore it up and threw it away, or he says he never got it. The point is,
well, their argument with that is you've spent a lot of time over the last 7 years claiming that you didn't get this letter, that you didn't get that letter, that your mailman in your area is terrible, that the post office returned.
A lot of that I didn't say. I didn't say that my post office is, my mailman's terrible or whatnot. I haven't gotten served with any legal papers or anything in that regard.
Rick,
that's
the point they're talking about. You take it to the extreme of you have to get a lawyer to do this. What about just plain common sense?
Well, wait a minute. No.
I mean, no. I'm trying to say, surprise the hell out of them by just doing it for the sake of doing it, not because you've been ordered by a court to do it. I guarantee you, every single person that has detracted you in the last 7 years would sit there and go, holy fuck, I'm surprised if out of the blue Matt Bush sends a notice on his website that says, guess what I just got in the mail today? All of the remaining maps for Rick. No fuss, no muss. Returned.
Matt's not going to do that, and I'll tell you why. Matt's not going to do that because Matt's already identified on his website that the 255, and I haven't confirmed that number yet, but this is what the maps say, that there was 1 to 255 maps sent to me. Matt's already put out there that those maps were sold out. Well, they weren't sold out. There's only 1 to 255, and again, I can't confirm yet that there are 255 maps. I know.
What do you mean you can't confirm yet?
Well, because I haven't gone down through to count each one to see that they're numbered specifically right on down to 255.
And how long have you had the maps?
Well, I've had the maps since last September.
Oh.
I think I got them in September. I'd have to check the
But I mean, it
UPS
would be easy to just count them and say, hey, these are 255.
Yeah, but the only reason the only reason I'm dealing with the maps now is because I'm trying to sell them.
Have you sold any?
Yeah, I've sold 10. I've given away 2, and probably going to give away a couple more. Now, when I say giveaway, that just means that when I give, like you're giving Jeff and Dante a map, I'm going to be putting in that money to make up for that, because that's money that's all going to have to be accounted for to go to the charity,
Right.
which I'm going to pick now. And when I get that done, and when I get these maps sold, unless something steps in beforehand, unless I get
Such as?
real cease and desist from Lucas that I could turn around, take to my attorney, and say, here you go, handle it. You advise me and tell me the best way. If it's to pack up whatever and to donate whatever or send them back the monies that have been collected so far, that's fine. There's been no chicanery here, no illegal transactions or anything. And
but you can understand how after 7 years it puts you in a better light to them. To just say, Matt,
Jeff,
here's the remaining maps.
Jeff, I wish I could tell you that at this point, after 7 years, I don't really care. I just really don't care what they think and feel about me. They don't have to like me. If they want to hate me, that's their prerogative.
But from a business standpoint, it only helps you. Look at what happened with the Adirondack Fund, right? You announced people that were coming to that convention.
Yeah.
Those people got contacted by them and said, hey, this guy has a history of not doing what he says he's going to do. Go look for yourself.
Yeah,
and then these people looked for themselves.
And then a large portion of those guests contacted me back, and I got all excuses from I can't show up now. My dog's or my cat's passing a hairball at me, or something else has come up and I can't make it. Or in a couple of cases, I heard directly, well, I wouldn't have never agreed to do this if, well, fine.
But again,
why did you sign the contract? Why didn't you Google my name, and why didn't you bring those? Or, I mean.
But let's say you return the maps. Then the next time they Google your name, it comes up with Rick essentially did the right thing by Matt Bush, and that these people went, wow, he returned the maps and he donated the money to the charity and announced that the charity got the money and the charity confirmed it. If anything, that looks good for you from a business standpoint.
It's pushing the adversarial buttons, but
at the same time, it's only helping you.
I also didn't take my lead from just my own forethought. I mean, I was having weekly meetings with the other two adult individuals involved in Adirondack to get their input and to see what they best thought should take place.
Why haven't they come out and said anything?
Because they're not comic book people, and quite frankly, when they look at this, as a bunch of my other friends who are non-comic book people do, they pretty much figure it's childish, juvenile bullshit.
But it's childish, juvenile bullshit that's hurting your business.
No.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, because I guarantee you, the same people who detracted you about the con in November are going to come out against anything you do.
No,
Rich Johnston, Gail, Jim McQuarrie, Tony Isabella, all these people are going to say the same thing for the next convention. And don't trust them.
And here's the part that you're not focusing on.
Which is
what they've done to some degree up to this point in time has been illegal. They've only done it and felt that they could continue to do it because they haven't been challenged on it or shut down or legally thrashed or however you want to put it.
But what is it that's what crime are they committing by telling people do your research and homework about Rick Olney?
Wow.
And then these people do their research and homework and come up with case after case of you basically bucking the system.
Case after case. I'm not bucking the system. It's
in a way. I mean, that's the wording I would use.
Case after case of these stories put forth by the same people. I mean, I don't know how many attorneys they've all, as individuals or as a group, have gotten together with, in before they make these things, say these things, and certainly I've said some stupid things, put some stupid things in print in the past.
Rick, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Just a curious question. All these people that write all these things, and you say it doesn't bother you, and they have it has no validity. It doesn't bother you what they say. Why do you reply to them on rants that I've read? Why do you even bother? If it doesn't bother you, why don't you just ignore them?
I've tried to. I've tried over a period of time. In fact, if you look at the most recent stuff that was said,
I did on About Heroes.
Yeah,
I read that.
I don't think I ranted.
No, you didn't. But you're replying. You're replying.
I replied. Yeah, I replied because.
And that's just going to set them off more because people are like that.
Yeah. See,
I mean,
again,
because look at this. When the thread got shut down by Gale, everybody went quiet. Everybody went dark, and not to put too fine a point on it. So did your blogs.
No, I still got emails, threatening emails, and I've still got.
Did you really?
Yeah, I still been getting stuff. I have
from people that used to be on her thread.
Yeah,
print those up and bring them with you, because
Yeah.
if those people are threatening you, then absolutely that needs to be addressed. And Gail Simone will be the first one to kick any of them off of the freaking thread for actual outright threatening of you. That's bullshit.
As Artful Angie, you didn't have anything to do with the bumper stickers that got put on my front door of the house, my daughter's car, or anything, did you?
I didn't. To be honest, I didn't even believe that happened until Jim McQuarrie called Mohawk Police and said, "Yeah, it happened."
Right.
But that wasn't me.
It was somebody.
Now there's a couple other. Obviously, you got
somebody.
Mike, you got Don, you got the other guy, the one that used to be Mike's friend or is Mike's friend. There's
talking about
there's dozens of people.
Upton?
I guess.
Yeah.
The black kid.
Yeah. Those guys were all members of the club for a long time. I don't know what the hell they're.
There's a bunch of people locally that, anytime your name gets mentioned in Ravenswood, people outright groan.
Yeah.
And it's not just Janine and it's not just Joe.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, so obviously, there are detractors locally as well.
Yeah, I don't know what to do or say about that, because I don't know what's made those people as sour, other than whatever Gail has said and whatever Tony has said, or whoever they seem to look up to or follow as a fan or whatnot. I'm sure, there's, I mean, I've been told numerous times that I can't write for shit. Okay, fine.
Well, Rick, you know what they say about reputations.
Well, yeah.
Once reputations has been tarnished, it's very, very difficult and a lot of hard work to get your name back.
Right.
But the thing is, and that's what I'm talking about with the maps. Right now, not returning the maps is doing more damage to the reputation versus returning the maps that you have, so that these people can go, oh, and then they don't have a fucking leg to stand on as far as tarnishing your reputation over the maps.
Right.
And it shows, hey, you know what? I'm a businessman, and I recognize when there's an issue with my business to get it cleared up. That, to me, made more sense than not returning the maps.
Well, I'll take that all under consideration and advisement from you, because before I knew you as Artful Angie, I knew you as Jeff, and like I said, I haven't been anything but sincere.
And like I say, now that you know me as Jeff, and you know that Artful Angie was just a cover for 2 years to say what's going on here. Really, honestly, as somebody who knows you and has gotten to know you over the last couple of weeks, my best advice, honestly, from a business standpoint, shut them up and do what they least expect. It's the last thing they'd expect you to do. It is. I mean, if you suddenly return the maps to Matt, and and not for nothing, I'll videotape you going down to the post office with the box, so that they can't say, "Oh, he just faked it." No, folks, he didn't, because here's him going there and making an effort to make sure you people aren't screwing him over online anymore.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, give that some thought. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is all of a sudden, people stop talking about these maps, and you actually have some decent credit out there, that you can cash in on with the next convention.
I don't think, this might surprise you, but I still have contact within the comic book industry with people on the same level as like a Joe Rubenstein or a Mort Todd. And as much as the people that you have become friends with or know online-wise, for whatever reason, those people haven't turned away from me. It might amaze you to know that there's more people out there willing to work with me to see me achieve and help, gain my goals and finish out what I want to accomplish in my life than the people that are saying, "Whoa, no, kill the monster, kill the monster." At this point, the Jim McRorys and the Doc Martins, Matt Doc Martins, and even the Gail Simones and Tony Isabellas, they really don't matter to me anymore.
But the thing is, they should.
Artful Angie doesn't matter to me.
Because as long as they're out there telling people to avoid you,
yeah.
Any convention that you try to do is not going to get off the ground.
And
really, if you want to get a convention going, you need more backers than detractors.
Well, supposedly you told me that I killed the convention in the Mohawk
When
Valley.
I came home and tried to start a convention, everybody I talked to shot it down because They all said, "Oh, you should talk to so and so about Rick Olney."
Put one together. Well, why should you talk to me about it? Utica went on a long time, with Bob Alinskas, and
he's the only person I haven't been able to get a hold of either, because I keep trying to get a hold of him. I've got his email address, and I keep saying, "Hey, I would like to get a convention going. I'd like to get 1 or 2 artists, one or 2 writers in.
Yeah, do it.
I've got Players Theater ready to do it for us and host it right at the theater.
Go for it.
Because next year I'll be on the board at Players.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm not trying to pump you up here, other than the fact that if it's something you want to do personally, you don't let anybody stop your.
Well, I understand it, but
sideline your.
But I'm trying to
give you
this
stipulations that you got to perform to.
But all I'm saying is, for the same kind of advice for you, is if these people are going to them saying, "Hey, look at what happened the last time we tried to get a con. He screwed Matt Bush over on the maps."
But
then just shut him up and return the maps.
Yeah, but in the whole realm of conventions and what you want to do in building a convention in the Mohawk Valley, other than whatever I've done, and feel personally gratified about. That's you. I mean, it has no bearing on me. Just because I live here in the Mohawk Valley, that doesn't mean you can't put on a show. That's just ridiculous.
And I'm still working with a couple people.
Oh, we're all under the shadow of Rick Olney. Oh, geez, we can never put another convention on in the Mohawk Valley. Nobody will ever come here. Well, that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not true.
I mean, like I say, that's what when I went down to Ravenswood, when I went to not Comic Zone, the other comic shop there in
Cloud City.
No, not Cloud City, the other one. No, I can't think of it now. But they basically said, "Look,
Comics Plus."
It might be Comics Plus.
Mike.
Might
first name Mike? Yeah, Mike.
They basically said, "Look, there's nothing we want to do around here, because the last time we got involved in a comic show, or the last time we tried to get involved in the comic show, we basically got it."
Watkins is the only one that I know that's put on a successful comic book show in Syracuse since going way back when. Because primarily, whenever you get 2, 3, 4 different shops in an area, you're going to get that kind of.
Yeah.
It's just like when we're holding meetings at a couple of the other smaller stores that opened up. One in the Hartford Shopping Center called Characters and More, and then
I remember them.
Another. Remember them?
Yeah.
We held comic book club meetings there for
I didn't know that.
2-3 months. Yeah.
Because like I say, by the time
I told you about the bootleg Spider-Man T-shirts I got done.
Yep.
I got them done through working with Marvel, and Marvel went ahead and they did all the matting and they provided the art.
Rick, where's your house?
Right here.
Oh, this one here?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
And when we did that, I had already heard back then, and this is all old business between Janine and I, that we weren't too popular. Because we didn't necessarily go to Janine and ask her. Somebody had said, well, there's Characters and More place. Well, how do you keep a comic book shop in the area? You go and you support it.
Yep. Well, they weren't even really a comic shop per se, from what I remember.
Not when they originally opened.
They were more like a licensed product store.
Yeah, there was a guy by name. I think his first name was Jeff too. He was with the Writers Club.
Yeah.
He used to.
Because when they closed up, my parents went to the auction for all the merchandise, and they brought home like 2 long boxes, and one of them had like 50 copies of Superboy and the Ravers issue 1. It was basically all the stuff they couldn't sell. Right. And that's when I started turning around and passing out comic books at Halloween for kids.
Yeah.
It was just get rid of them that way.
Well, I don't know. I would say that
all I'm saying is give it some thought as seriously as to the
thought.
idea of returning the maps. Because I think, honestly, really, if you want to get another show going,
no, I don't.
The best way to shut them up is to not give them anything else to work with.
I don't think it's the maps, Jeff. I think what it comes down to is, I can do that, but then it won't be about the maps. It'll be about paying that $35,000 you supposedly owe. And again, I'm going to tell you that contractually, I'm not legally bound to pay any of those guys anything until they finish the job that they were hired to do, and that's on them. It's been on them. Just like the 2 or 3 small claims court cases that were lodged against me It's up to them. Let them go and do what they have to do. If they're not going to come to me personally, if they're going to make it a legal thing where they're going to take me to small claims court, then let them come to me, whatever way they think they can do, and we'll work it out. We'll hash it out. But until they do that, people just expect me to roll over and like kick money out to these people. And the point is, except for Tournas, the other two people were involved with Tales of Spooky, and I can't pay them. I can't pay them until that has all been legitimized and worked out. Because I'm not paying Chuck Dixon just so he can turn around and say, yeah, that Rick Olney's a bastard. And then I can say, well, wait a minute, I paid Chuck Dixon. Well, you didn't pay us. Or we'll work for you. We'll do what we got to do to finish up that story that we worked on. But, well, geez, Chuck won't release it. He won't let us do it. Because he's the writer.
Yeah.
You see?
I absolutely. I can see your side of it, but
yeah, well, I've had that legally checked out, and I know where the parameters are in that to get it accomplished or not.
Yeah.
And right now, where they're concerned, where those guys are concerned, they could care less about Tales of the Spooky. They've been turned off about Rick Olney because of all the stuff that they've read on the internet. Now, and yeah, I contributed some of that because early on I got pissed off, went on there, and I thought, well, let me try and talk some reason to these people. And you can't talk reason to a crowd of angry individuals for whatever reason. And then there's the other aspect of it, which I believe that, and I said this before, so I have no harm. I'm not telling you a secret. I believe that this was all part of it put forth by Dixon. And I'll say that publicly. I should have said it again today, because I'll push him right to an attorney if I have to get him to come to me. I am not going to go to him and pay him a dime when he says that he didn't sign a contract or he didn't have an understanding, a confidentiality understanding. Now, I have all those records. I have those contracts. I have everything that I need to make something more out of it. I just don't want to spend the money on throwing the money at trying to fix this all, because obviously, over this period of time, it's gotten even more compounded.
Yeah.
Okay?
And as more time goes on, it's going to get worse.
Well, that's possibly true, but again...
No, not possibly.
Well, it's possibly true. The point is, any kind of lawsuit that on that level, any kind of lawsuit that I start today, or if I'd started last year or 2 years ago or whatever, there's probably a good chance that I wouldn't have been here and won't be here to see the finalization of it, which means my family and the state would have to follow on. And,
right, and the remnants are going to follow you, and that's what's sad.
Well, they won't follow me where I'm going.
Wow.
So...
It'll follow your name, Rick.
Yeah, it might. But again, I'm going to tell you also that if you could do something for me and find out what that website is, it's got a listing of I'm going to go on the internet and see if I can find it.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. And I've been trying since you first brought up the whole bumper sticker thing, I've been trying to get somebody to tell me who it was, but it honestly seems like nobody in the area or nobody online knows. If it was somebody online, they're not telling anybody.
Well, I thought it might have been Al Durante's. I don't know if you know Al or not.
I don't know that.
Al was in the club for a short time. I know he was disgusted with me because when we got to the point working with Stronix, where we weren't working together, they were working on what they could glean from Orca, and then I was trying to keep the club, going and get the information going in the line of direction that there should have been going. At any rate, that's when Al got disgusted with me, and I know that he had some type of sign advertising type business on the side in Herkimer, and I thought maybe it was him. I thought actually at one point I thought he was Artful Angie.
Yeah, that's where I recognize the name Al from.
And
I just remember the
as
last
far as Malat, I don't know what's up Malat's butt as far as me, other than something about Mike Noonan that goes back years ago when Noonan was getting out of his high school years and he got involved in drugs. And I since talked to his father several times, checking in on him to see how he's doing. And so I don't know where Malat and Robert Upton and where Noonan falls in on all of this, as far as this anti-Rick Olney bullshit. But you know, until they speak up for themselves, or until Malat, you know, has something to say. That's why I'm saying, get him on the podcast. I'll sit home and wait
I'll
for
send him an email this week and see if he's interested in coming on.
I'd like to hear, you know, I'd like to hear and read whatever he's got to say.
Okay.
You know, get it out there, clear the air. I mean, don't be afraid to question that other side. You know.
Yep.
That's why I said, you know, ask me any. I can't answer all your questions. One, because I don't always necessarily have the answer. Number two, I do have a legal set of parameters that I have to work between, because if I were to do something wrong, then everybody else gets in line and says, oh, no, wait a minute, you paid him, you got to pay me. You know what I'm saying?
By that token, you could sit there and say, you have proof that he completed his work, but you don't have proof that this person completed theirs. That's why he was paid.
The other kid that worked with me on the story that I did for the Tales of Spooky book, his name is Zach. And I've got I stay in touch with him about every 6-8 months to make sure that he's still living where he is. And again, if I pay him, how does that open the door to the other teams? Okay, because it was just him
they
and
still
I.
would have to legally prove that they completed their work and gave it to you for them to be paid.
Exactly.
I mean, you can show this guy completed his work. If it clearly states in a contract or a project or an email, here's your work that you have to do to be paid, and he did X, Y, Z to get paid, then these people still need to show that they did X, Y, Z for them to be paid.
And they can all.
But this person shouldn't suffer because this person didn't do X, Y, Z.
No, but that's the point. If they didn't do the work, if they haven't done the work yet, per the contract, then how do I owe them or this overall sum of $35,000 or whatever it is?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that written into all of this, you know, on these different levels. That's all I'm saying. That's all I've ever contended. So, hey, if Dixon wants to put, he wants to put my feet to the fire, he'll turn around and go back to his story team members and tell them, hey, let's go. Let's finish this up. I'll contact Olney, or I'll contact Lanphier. I'll tell them here it is, and we'll get the whole thing back on.
Now, is Lanphier a local?
No, Lanphier's not local. Lanphier, I think, is out in California.
Oh, okay.
But you see,
I was wondering if he was one of the people that might be a suspect for the sticker thing.
No, I don't know who that would be. I thought it was you. I thought it was our Phalange.
No, our Phalange.
Because you told me you lived in Herkimer.
Well,
I've been, figuring, well, this guy's in Herkimer. He's local.
No, I've been throwing you off in this direction for years because I didn't want anybody to know I was living in Whitesboro from the time I came home. I've literally just come home when the whole thing, exploded on me. That I had friends of mine telling me, "Oh, well, you aren't going to be able to do a comic convention because of this guy." And I'm like, "What guy?" "Oh, go to this website, do this Google search." And then I'm looking at it, and then I'm hearing friends of mine literally well up telling me the story that happened to them. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy, and why the fuck is he screwing over the comic industry?
I have no idea who you're talking about. And obviously now that's going to sit in the back of my mind. I'm going to try to figure out who this girl was that supposedly walked away from a club meeting crying.
Is there a fast track that we can stop at, babe?
Yeah, but
I want a mountain. No. You're
like I
fine.
said, we'll talk more later. Unless you pull me off your Facebook list.
No.
Yeah, we'll plan for you to come to dinner again. I don't know.
You're not an atheist, are you?
No.
I'm Catholic. Does that matter to you?
I'm Roman Catholic.
Well, yeah, in some respects.
Why?
Well, because I think in 58 years of life, I figured out that anybody that doesn't have a base belief in a God really lacks imagination, and in lacking imagination, they have to be lacking in creativity.
I don't think of it so much as I think they lack faith in something.
All right, Rick. Well, let's play it this way. Judge me on me, not on who I believe
don't judge
in.
Anybody.
I mean, like me for who I am, not the religion I have.
I don't put a microscope to everybody and say, I only asked Jeff said make the remark to Jeff about the atheist thing because that's just me.
Yeah, that's funny. That's fine. Honey, people cannot be super critical over things. They got to take it with a grain of salt.
Right. Yeah, I can't wear my NRA hat in certain places because people look at it and they're anti-gun or